my name is Dr. Marissa May. In this video, we're going to be looking at the point-slope formula of lines. Now, if this is not a formula that you're familiar with, or you want maybe just a little bit more clarification or practice, grab your pencil and paper now. Let's take a look. I like to start students off with a step-by-step approach. And I think this is probably the best step-by-step approach for our point-slope formula of line. So if you want to write an equation when you don't have the slope and the y-intercept, the first thing you have to have is you have to have a point on the line. The second thing you have to have is you have to have the slope. Now, here's a little note I want to say is if you have a point and a second point, you can find the slope of a line. And I'm going to show you how to do that. But before you can use the point slope formula, you have to have a slope and you have to have a point. And you can see where I have put in the pieces and the parts for the point slope formula. You're going to be subbing in the slope for the m here. You're going to be subbing in the y coordinate for the y1. You're going to be subbing in the x coordinate for the x1. Did you notice the x and the y that don't have the little ones by them? We don't substitute anything in for them. That's right. And see, most of the time then, step 4, we're going to get it into the y equals mx plus b form. So let's take a look at an example. All right, in this example, we're going to be writing an equation of a line. I like to stress with students that when you have those instructions, your answer is going to be an equation that has y and x in it. So make sure you're not answering with just something like x equals 2. Okay, so let's look at this one. We are told that the slope is -1/2. Well, we know that slope is represented by the letter m. So I'm going to say that m is -1/2. And we're told it passes through the point -4, 1. Now, the -4 here, we're going to use for the x with the little one. And the 1 here, we're going to use with the y with the little one. Because remember, in step 1, you had to have a point on the line. There's our point, -4, 1. In step number 2, you had to have the slope. We're told that is -1/2. So what we're going to do is take our point slope form of the line, and we're going to make those substitutions. Okay? So in place of the slope, we're going to put the -1/2. In place of the x coordinate or the x1, we're going to put -4. In place of the y1, we're going to put the 1. Okay, so what does that look like? Y minus 1. See, I don't substitute anything in for the y. I'm only substituting for y1 equals my m is the -1/2. X minus x1, which is the -4. Now check that in the parentheses. It is correct. Minus and then the value -4. I know it looks weird, but that is correct. You can go ahead in that parentheses and change that subtraction to an addition as long as you change the sign of the next number. So you would have y minus 1 equals -1/2 x plus 4. Now, if we want to get into the y equals mx plus b form, the first step we have to do is to distribute our -1/2. So we'll distribute it to the x. That'll give me -1/2 x. We'll distribute it to the 4. -1/2 times 4, use your calculator if you need to, is -2. Don't forget our y minus 1 on the other side. So when you want to go from point slope to slope intercept or to y equals mx plus b, first step is to distribute. Second step is to get the y by itself. So you see how y is being subtracted by 1? We do the opposite, which is adding 1. Notice that I added the 1 underneath the -2 because they're like terms. And that gives me y equals, well, I'm running out of room here. I'm going to write over the side. Y equals -1/2 x minus 1. Where'd the -1 come from? -2 plus 1. All right? And that is my equation. Remember how we said we wanted to write the equation of a line? My equation should have y and x in it. This is my equation. All right, we're ready to go to level 2. We're going to do a problem very similar to this. We're just going to go add one more step to it. Let's take a look. All right, as promised, we are going to add one more step to our process here because in this problem, we are being asked to write an equation of a line, but we are given 2 points. And you'll notice that I put our slope formula over here because we weren't given the slope. That means we have to go find it. So our first step is to use that slope formula to find our slope. Now, if we review the slope formula, we know that those ones and little twos there just mean first and second. So this formula says that m, the slope, equals the second y minus the first y divided by the second x minus the first x. And where are these x's and y's coming from? The points that we are given. All right, remember in algebra, it comes in alphabetical order. So we have x and then y. So if I look in these points and I want the second y, that's the 2. If I look in the points and I want the first y, that's the 6. And then if I on the bottom, I want the second x, that's the -3. And I want the first x, that's the 3. Now, if you need some help with the subtractions here because we got negatives going on, definitely use that Desmos graphing calculator that I put in the description below. But I'm going to change the subtractions to addition, changing the sign of the next number. 2 plus -6 is -4. And I'll do the same on the bottom. And -3 plus -3 is -6. Now, that becomes a positive 4, 6. But also 4 and 6 are both divisible by 2. So I'll do that. 4 divided by 2 is 2, and 6 divided by 2 is 3. So now we have the slope is 2/3. So we have a slope of 2/3, and now we get to pick one of the points. It doesn't matter which one you pick, but you need to pick one. I will tell you, I generally choose the easy one, which for me means that they're positive. So I'm going to choose the 3, 6. And I'm going to put those in my point slope formula. So let's take a look. So in place of the m, I'm going to put the 2/3. And then in place of the x1, remember that's the first x, I'm going to put the 3. And in place of the y1, I'm going to put the 6. So that looks like y minus 6 equals 2/3 x minus 3. So if you remember from our last example, we need to get it into that y equals mx plus b form. And that means we have to distribute first. So I'm going to distribute the 2/3 to the x first. So 2/3 times x. And then I'm going to distribute 2/3 times 3. Well, if I think of that as 3/1, 2/3 times 3/1 is 6/3, which gives me 2. Check that with your calculator if you want practice with the multiplying with fraction there. All right, so we've distributed. Now our next step is to get the y all by itself. So look at your side with the y. It's being subtracted by 6. So we're going to do the opposite, which is to add 6. Be sure to line it up underneath the like term, which is the number that doesn't have a variable. All right, that minus 6 plus 6 goes away. I get y equals 2/3 x. And then minus 2 plus 6 is plus 4. Voila. That's my answer. I know. Remember I said this was the next level, right? Because we had the added step of needing to find the slope. You're going to use all 3 of these formulas, and I've got them listed there on the right for you because I want them to be in your notes. So make sure you have them in your notes. If you've made it this far in the video, go ahead and comment on which formula you like to use the best. Is it the slope formula, the point slope formula, or the y equals mx plus b slope intercept formula? All right, my friends, I hope these examples help you. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.